So I got this gift from 1adam12. He gave it as a birthday gift and it arrived safely. Thought it was pretty nice. The only thing I didn't like so much is that the phosphor head isn't botanically correct since there's only 4 ribs. But other than that, I really like the detail. The artist made on this piece. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. And a big shout out to the artists as well. They did a good job. I'm not sure who they are, but the only critique I have is the loofah head. The rib count is off and it's not as smooth as the rest of the body, but still great job. I really like this present. It'll be kept on this workbench. It's just a bit disorganized since I have a few projects going on. Here are the cuttings from the latest time-lapse video. I removed them to I'm gonna root these on their own, but I removed them so that the mother plant only has 2 main growing heads or growing points. And besides the treatment that I'm doing with the True Color product, combining that with a flowering schedule for my cacti, I do believe I have induced some to begin flowering or at least budding, but I want to focus on trying to do it with the Verde Monstrose. And another project that I'm also working on, and it's my first attempt, is Yopo seeds. I did an acid extraction of 50 grams. I evaporated the entire extract. I used oxalic acid as the acid, so I used isopropanol to remove the excess. From the excess, I kept only what was insoluble in the isopropanol, since in theory the oxalate of the bufotein should be insoluble. From there, the color was still dark, but that doesn't really matter. I added water to dissolve everything, and after I added the water to dissolve it, I added a sodium carbonate solution, and it precipitated this. In solution, it was a lighter brown. Obviously, this has a lot of impurities still, but in theory, this should be the free base compound from the Yopo. And this is the rest of the material. This is the washes and the alcohol combined. This should be the sodium oxalate, but I'll be decanting this and testing to see if this is in indole or not. And yeah, I'll try to purify this a bit further and we'll see what comes out of it. And I've also been working on trying to do a better TLC on the Phalaris subreddit. They're working on those grasses, and they've come a pretty long way for TLC work on the grasses, and they're using special LED spectrum lights. I purchased a germicidal light trying to do the same thing. Since it was found nationally, it was very cheap, but it doesn't seem to fluoresce the DMT on the TLC plates. There is a possibility that it is due to my DIY plates, but it most likely is the light itself. So I'll be buying the 275 wavelength LED lights. So here's the trimmed Verde Monstros, and I removed all but 2 growing points. This is, I'll be considering one growing point, and this is the other. And if you follow it to the base, it leads up and then here. So in theory, I want to treat this like a dragon fruit, where I keep a main stem, and then after a certain size I'll let it possibly collapse over like they do on the trellis, and I'll be treating this as well with the same bloom inducing solution or system that I'm doing for the rest of my cacti. If this will work or not, I have no idea, but all of the other cuttings I'll be planting into the large planter. And I treated all of my cacti with the same treatment, and I starting to still get some new buds. And where starting winter, we had very cool weather recently, and some days don't surpass 13 Celsius. Next week we'll be reaching 0 Celsius at night, but I'm still getting developing buds. With Astrophyton though, they're fairly easy. These were already mature on their own, so it's not the greatest metric. But you can see they're developing. They usually start developing in spring, and this one flowered recently. It had a nice big flower. These are where I'll be placing the Verde cuttings. I'll be placing it all around the base, and I'll just let this grow out. So all of my trichoceras got the same treatment. It's basically just the True Color extract or True Color solution at 1 or 2 milliliters per liter, and it's not used for the color this time, but it does upregulate the uptake of the nutrients in general. So I also applied a low N and high pK fertilizer, and it is still very early and we're in winter now, but it does seem that some of these are forming some flower buds. You can see it, and the clearest case is this one. Where is it? Here. It's the most I would say easily to identify bud starting. So with this flowering system that I'm starting to develop, it's been in the work for quite a long time, and this cutting is, well, not this cutting, this seedling is only 3.5 years old, so it is still quite young. And this one was also girdled early on, which I do believe is an option I'll be looking into again with other cacti that don't seem to be wanting to show any signs of maturity or budding. But we're still very early on, and we'll see come spring if the treatment shows any promise. And with these, again, these are easier to bud, but these are also starting to bud as well. Again, we're in winter, and a few of these are starting to show signs of budding. And here are the phalaris grasses that I got from Greentoe. They're still very small, but I do like that they're fast growing. and these are going to be a nice 5-meal source in theory. So thanks a lot for Greentoe and the Phalaris project. If you guys are interested, you should check out their subreddit, Phalaris, that's the subreddit. And there's a few members that are doing a lot of TLC work, and they're very meticulous with their work, and I think it's coming along pretty good overall. And here are the survivors from the Bridgezi cross with Bridgezi, that AK Surfer 02, which is Alaska Surfer, yeah. Robert sent these over. I still have a few more seeds as well that I'll be sowing later on, but these are pretty resilient. They already survived some very cold nights, and they'll be growing throughout the winter. I usually remove the humidity dome very early on, but since we're in winter, I'll be leaving it covered just to help out with the temps. And once again, thank you very much, 1adam. You've already helped a massive amount with your donations, being a top donator already. I really appreciate this gift for my birthday. Came out very nice, and I'm happy it didn't get damaged in transit. And here is the DIY TLC chamber for the LED lights. This is the germicidal lamp. It's, I believe, mercury based, and the emission should be 254 for the wavelength. And this is another one that I bought. I bought this one mainly by error. I thought it was the correct wavelength, but this does work for Harmless. And this is 365 and 370 wavelength. I soldered this myself, and I used an old AC adapter that I had, and then it's still in the US port, so I just use an adapter. But yeah, this is fairly weak, but in the dark it does emit the correct wavelength, and it brights much better. The fluorescence on Harmless are much brighter with this light than my small USB or my small flashlight, which is a higher wavelength, and they're basically fake black lights. It does work, but this is a much better wavelength. So I tried a TLC plate with this to see if I can observe the DMT on the TLC plates like in the Phalaris project, but this light is inappropriate for it. It doesn't work. I could use this if I bought those special TLC plates pre-made with the fluorescence, but for importing it gets a little costly, and I can make my plates for like a few cents, where if I import it, it'll cost a few dollars each plate. And yeah, that's what I'm working on so far. And then I place this back on. This would be standing, and I would put the camera here, and it fits perfectly.